Hey, good morning, or it may even be afternoon by now, I don't know. But welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. I'm out on my makeshift workshop, and one of the things that seems to be of interest to the people that take an interest in what we're doing on our house is that we're actually working with very simple tools. So I was asked to do a special video about the tools that we have, but while we're doing that, why don't we look at some of the challenges that we have if we're trying to do something nice or special, and we're limited by both tools and materials and facilities. We can't just say, oh well, we can't do that. That's when we get challenged, and that's when we start to maybe to do something special. So I'm looking at a particular problem. I'm going to stop being a talking head and actually show you what is happening on our makeshift workbench. Okay, so back in a second. Okay, so the challenge that we're looking at is that I decided that I would make our four-poster bed freestanding. These are two of the posts. And the challenge is that if they're going to be freestanding, then they're not going to be all tied in together. So we have to try to make something special out of the top. So what to do? The post is already made, so we're not going to do any radical changes on that. There's going to have to be something that's added. So there's the post. All right. So now you know as much about it as I do at the moment, and I'm going to show you how you can take very simple things. Oh, wait a moment. Okay, we had some angle grinding being done over there. James is fixing or fitting the granite tops that we've got. So, what's the challenge? Well, I'm going to try to show you how it is that you can make something special just by using very simple moldings. I mean, these are the kind of moldings that you can buy off the shelf, and there are all different kinds of mold. There's some flat there. We did have some half round. Half round I use quite a lot because it's very effective. It finishes off the edge here. That's what I work with most of the time, is blockboard. And you put the half round on the blockboard, and it half rounds it off very nicely. Right, let's look at what we've got. The challenge that we've got reminds me a little bit of that story of one of the Apollo missions. One of the Apollo missions, they were in a life-threatening, they were out in orbit around the moon or something, and their craft was damaged, I think, by a meteorite, something like that. And NASA asked them, what do you have? Tell us all of the resources that you have in order to fix the thing. So they were really down to something very simple, like a roll of masking tape, an X-Acto knife or a craft knife, I don't know, 2 safety pins and a roll of insulate, something silly. But they had to send a list to NASA on the ground of what they had. And then NASA put all of their sharpest minds on working out how they could handle the damage with what they had. And they came up with a solution. They sent that out to the team, the crew, and the crew fixed the problem with what they had. So that's really what we're talking about doing here. And you've seen the pillars. There's the pillars, okay, and there's that plain Jane top that's on there at the moment. Well, I did do two earlier. I've come up with the solution. It's already handled. I'm trying to get the camera off the tripod. I've actually come up with the solution, but I wanted you to see what the process is. Now, here's an offcut. So that's an offcut. That's what we're going to have to work with, and we can make a model of that. So, what did we have? Well, I came up with a lot of different solutions. You know, things like this. I tried. Would it look nice if I put that all the way around? And I thought, no, that's more for keeping people out of your garden. So I rejected that idea. So we'll look at the tools that we have. I got a Stanley knife, and got a scraper for filler and stuff. Got a pencil, got sandpaper, and I got this. I never used this in the end. We've got some little nails. Got a plane, a saw. I got a screwdriver, didn't use that either, and I got these two tools that I didn't use, and a square. A tape measure. We got glue, and that's pretty well what that's what we've got to work with. That I can use. Can't use a power saw on this, but we can use a jigsaw. So what did we do? I decided that I would put a cap on it. So that's first things first. I put a cap on it. How did I do that? I worked this out. Now, what I did was I sketched around the existing pillar. Sketched around that, and then once I'd sketched around that, I got a piece of 3/4, and I put the 3/4 on the edge, and I sketched around it. Did I do one earlier so you could see how I did that? See, so there it is. I sketched around it, and then once that was done, I cut it out. So here's what I cut out. Now the reason that I've gone 3/4 over is because I want it to overlap. So now it's overlapping, but we need more than that. We need it to be a little bit thicker. So what did I do? I used what I had. I got an old latex masonry, put it on there, sketched around it, and then I cut it out with my most sophisticated tool, which is a Makita jigsaw. Now, I was very, very careful. I cut out actually what I thought was a pretty good circle. Look at that. Not bad, eh? For a jigsaw with a wonky blade. And there's the piece that I cut out. Now, I sanded that and cleaned it up a little bit, and that's going to go on there. Now, none of this happens all in one go. You kind of work out along the way what you're going to do. But it looks a little bit silly there, doesn't it? It looks a little bit like a, I don't know, a Charlie Chaplin and New Age image. So you need to be able to do something with this. Now, one of the things in architecture which is used very often, and now not always structurally, but in a decorative way, is to do what's called cobbling. And cobbling is where the top of the pillar is wider, and because it's wider, it distributes the weight going onto the pillar down into the center, which is the pillar itself. So all of these all around would strengthen up the pillar, the post, without making this part too thick and cumbersome. So I've used that here. Now, I think that what we need is a little touch of cobbling. So how am I going to do that? I've actually got very limited resources on this. What I've got is I got some molding that was left over. I got this, and I had a length of this enough to, I've done 2 pillars, and I don't even have enough to do the other. I have to go out and buy some more molding. I use this, and I got some of this. I got loads of this. So here's what I did. And as all the famous cooks on television say, here's one that I did earlier. So I take this and we put it onto our pillar. And obviously if you can work with a model, first of all, that's what this is, you'll be able to see the way that it looks without committing to it. And then, it's now cobbled, isn't it? Got a cobble, as you can see there, look. Now how did I do that? Nothing elaborate. I just used a Stanley knife and I put an angle to it, chamfered it off so it's not just, so it doesn't just look like that, which would look crappy. So we got this up to there. And then, one again, I use a smaller piece of moulding and I put it there. Okay, so now we've got the 2 and it's layered. Now, if you look at how it now looks with this piece on, and you'll begin to get an idea of how it will look. And then on top of that, if I can't hold the camera and nail bits in at the same time, so you're going to have to imagine for a moment how this would look on there. See? So we've got a top on there, a capital, and then the cobbling and the pillar itself. So, as I said, in agreement with copying all of the great cooks, I show you one that I did earlier. And if I take this down, here's the 2 of them, but I'll show you what they look like standing up. And so, a little bit of filling to be done there, but that's what I ended up with. I always say, you know, what I do is not Chippendale, the famous builder of these, whatever it was, 17th or 18th century, but it's in keeping with what is happening down there. I can't let go of it because the wind is blowing up. If I lay it like that, maybe. Okay, so going from the bottom, it's cut away on that little bit there that's not painted because that's going underneath the bed. The piece is going to stand by the bed, and that will be under the bed there. So, coming up, and we'll end up on our little cobbling thing. Now, to make it really perfect, you would need to go in, fill in these little cracks with a filler, sand off, cut it away and sand off. And if you really wanted to go crazy, all of these parts here, you would put, I think it's called Elmer's, or there are several different kinds of water-based filler. And once you put that on, without waiting for it to dry, you can actually take it off and you can wipe it down, and it makes for life very easy without too much sanding and too much dust. But that will be something that you can experiment with. So there we are. That's my answer to dressing up the top of our four-posted bed. I think it's still in keeping with the angled part down there, but it gives you an idea of the process that can go to doing some of the things that I do that people seem to like, and who may be forgiven for thinking that it all happens from a blueprint on on paper before it ever occurs. No, it doesn't. It can evolve. It can start off, and just by watching what's happening, the effect that you're creating, all the things that you do have an effect. And once you decide what you like and stop listening to what other people say about what you do, you may find the courage to do a lot more than you do right now. So I've got 2 pillars made, and I'll be moving on. Now that I've painted them, I'll see all of the little things that I'm going to have to attend to. Like this, I don't like that gap there, so I'll fill that in. So there are lots of things that you can do, and you have to be willing to make a mistake. I think that's probably one of the key things if you're going to build anything. Some of our subscribers have said, well, wish I had your skills. Maybe one of the best skills that you can have is the willingness to make a mistake and do it over, do it again. I mean, I painted this. These pillars now have had probably 4 or 5 coats of paint, because first of all I thought that they would look best in green, or this greeny bluey green. I thought they'd look best in this colour, and then I saw it in the bedroom, even saw the bed painted that colour too, and I thought, no, it's too dark. Then I painted this colour. Actually, I painted another colour in between, but I haven't got an example of it. But I ended up painting it this colour, which at first I thought was too light. It's another colour that changes a lot as you look at it, and depending on the light and the place and what other colours are around it. But because it's light, it tends to reflect some of the other colours too. This is the colour that I ended up doing. That's the colour on the pillars. So things are subject to change, and you shouldn't mind that. And if you really enjoy what you're doing, and that should be the motivation, is that you would enjoy what you're doing. And if you do that, you'll do your best work. If you enjoy what you're doing, believe me, you will do your best work. So thanks for looking in. I hope that having some of the process explained to you might be of interest. Thanks for looking. Bye for now. Don't forget to go on to Facebook, and you can comment on Facebook. I'll post some pictures of what I'm doing here, and you can make a comment there if you wish. Bye for now.